Killing of a schoolmate at the in Ekurhuleni in Gauteng has once again highlighted the issue of school-based violence, including bullying in some schools. The National Schools Violence Study carried out by the Center for Justice and Crime Prevention in 2007 showed that 1.8 million children have experienced some form of school-based violence, and the highest type of violence happens at secondary schools. To talk about the psychological and mental impact school violence has on children, we're joined in the studio by Leanne Lurie, who is a clinical psychologist. Leanne, good morning to you.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us. When you learnt about this story, were you shocked? Were you surprised?
Look, I think that for anybody, I think it is a shocking experience to learn about. I think the fact that school-based violence can escalate to the point where a child loses their life, where a child feels compelled to take such decisive action, I think is shocking.
Yeah. So just looking at it, I mean, what is at the root of it all?
Look, often in bullying, there's a huge power differential between the individual that bullies and the child that is bullied. The child that's bullied, the victim, is often perceived by the bully to, have some kind of vulnerability, to have some kind of perceived difference. The bully is often perceived to use their victim as an outlet, as a target of their rage and anger, even if it is misdirected.
Yeah. Just in terms of, I mean, is it a societal problem? What is it about some people in society where they have this compulsion to exert some kind of forceful influence over others? Is it a family problem? Where does it come from?
Look, I think you're right. I think we do have to look at the problem on a broader systemic level. I think it's something that can be located both within the home, both on a broader societal level, and I think within the school. You say that, theoretically a child's meant to encounter a safe learning environment. But if at home, for example, they're not learning how to self-soothe, how to tolerate distress in appropriate ways, they learn to deal with it through impulsive behavior, through violence, through anger, through ways which satisfy instant gratification. How helpless does a child have to feel? How ashamed do they have to feel of what's going on in their lives, that they can't reach out for help, that they can't talk to somebody?
Yeah, the degree of humiliation. I was reading just a story in the Star this morning, and there's talk about the day before the shooting. They attacked him. A group attacked him. They robbed him of his clothing. He was left only with his pants. It almost feels like he had nowhere to turn, or he felt like he had nowhere to turn.
Yeah.
It's extreme, though, to get a gun and go and shoot somebody.
It is extreme. It is extreme, and I think that the very worrying thing about bullying is that the child that's bullied will very often conceal the fact. They're either too scared to ask for help, they're scared that they'll be stigmatized, they're scared that they'll be seen as that, proverbial tattletale, and they're also scared that if they do report the incident, that cycle of bullying is going to escalate and continue even further.
So if they report it, nobody will intervene in an effective way?
Yes, in a way which will provide relief and help and actually put an end to that cycle of bullying that they've been experiencing on a repeated and continuous basis.
Yeah.
And that's the important thing to note about bullying. It's not a once-off incident, and it's not by accident either.
Yesterday, the official from the Department of Education said they had a colloquium with analysts and experts on this thing. But what can really be done? What are meaningful interventions here, hence, to address this issue and to address what you're talking about, where kids can feel more secure in reporting matters and saying, well, I've got this problem, and they can have the confidence that it can be dealt with?
Look, research indicates that in order for meaningful change to take place, there has to be long-term investment from parents, from teachers, from children put into positions of authority, like prefects, for example. You have to recognize the warning signs of a child being bullied: depression, anxiety, social withdrawal, loss of belongings, school avoidance, school refusal, and also create a safe, non-judgmental space in which the child can bring you incidents of bullying with the confidence that something's going to be done about it. I think it's also important to note that some kind of reparative measure needs to be put in place between the bully and the victim before it's too late.
The sad thing about this story is also it feels, when you read again what the newspaper says today, you feel a sense of paralysis, because there's a remark that's not attributed to an individual. They just say a teacher was overheard saying, well, -1 problem.
Sure.
You know, so it suggests that even in that kind of space, it was just a sense of paralysis. Even the officials in the school didn't know what to do.
Sense of paralysis or a diffusion of responsibility, that it's not my problem, somebody else will take care of it. And I think that, you know, the adults, you are the ones that provide a sense of role modelling for these children. If you turn a blind eye to it, who do they have to turn to?
Okay. Let's leave it at that. Thank you very much. Leanne Lurie is a clinical psychologist talking about the story that we were reporting on a little bit earlier on. If you'd like to comment on